Hi guys, and welcome to the first episode of Investing Made. First of all, I would like to talk about what is the purpose of this channel. And to be honest, everything started because when I was researching about how to create wealth, how to become financially independent, all the resources were created for the US, and I'm like, oh, I live in Australia, I also want to learn this. And it was really hard to adapt some of the information to the Australian side of things. So that's why I decided, you know what, I'm gonna start researching, I'm gonna start learning, and I really want to share how to do this in Australia too. So even though most of the concepts are going to be personal finances, how to save money, lots of the things will also be really localized to Australian people, because I want to learn for myself and I really want to share with you. So yeah, that's pretty much the purpose of this channel. Now, in this first episode, we are going to start with a really high level of the 7 steps that I consider are required to create wealth. So something really important about these steps is that you need to do them in order. You cannot start investing if you have bad debt, for example. So yeah, let's talk about those steps. The first one is you need to pay all your bad debt, because that is going to really drag you down and it is not going to allow you to create wealth in the long term. So what do I mean with bad debt? Bad debt tends to be credit cards, personal loans, car payments, all of that needs to be gone. You really need to have the interest working for you, not taking you down. So we are going to create probably a full episode speaking about different strategies to take down debt, but the first of all the steps is getting debts down. Probably some of the debts are okay to have. Normally when we are speaking about real estate, for example, you have your mortgage. So the mortgage tend to have a really cheap interest rate, so maybe it's not going to affect you that much in your process of creating wealth. But if you have a credit card that is eating you alive with like a 20% effective annual effective rate, this is really going to take you down, so you need to take them down as fast as you can. Okay, now the second step for creating wealth is set up a good savings account. So normally in Australia, people have a savings account with banks like Commonwealth and one of the big ones. And normally these banks will give you basically no interest rate in your money. They give you like 0.1 or 0.15%, which is basically nothing. And there are other banks, the neobanks, that they are also insured by the government. They give you free ATMs wherever you want to, and they give you 1.9%, give or take. So the increase is actually like 15 times, I actually did the calculations for myself on the amount of money that I lost for staying with Commonwealth, like for 3 years, and it was basically a full trip to Hawaii. So you know what, I would rather go to Hawaii than staying with Commonwealth. And yeah, so far I'm personally with ING and it has been amazing, and I've been able to save a lot more money. I still have nightmares with the amount of money that I lost with Commonwealth. Okay, let's move on. So the third step is create a budget. And yes, I know, nobody likes a budget, nobody likes the B word, but you know what, it is critical to understanding which position you are in at the moment, and also to be able to determine what is the money that I really want to spend in certain areas, so you can really invest in what you love to do. For example, in my case, I love traveling and I love technology. So I have really clear defined priorities that allow me to really get rid of all the stuff that I don't really need in my life and focus on the things that I really value. You know what, like if you like your avocado toast, go for it, just take it into account into your budget. I'm not saying don't spend money, I am saying be more conscious and be more intentional with your spending. So another thing that budgeting allows us to do is really optimize hard in the expenses that you don't really care. I mean, you can really delete most of the stuff in your life and you'll still be super happy if you optimize hardly in the stuff that you love. So for example, if you don't really watch that much TV, it doesn't make sense to be paying a cable subscription, for example. So just get rid of it. You don't need it. Another example is, for example, if you are using a lot of money in groceries, okay, let's think about how you can improve that, how you can start, for example, meal planning or things like that that will save you tons of money, probably time, and also it will allow you to focus more on the things you really want to do. Now, I'm going to be creating a full episode explaining what I consider the best way of budgeting, special tips on how to keep track of your expenses, what app do I personally use, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss this episode. Okay, now the fourth step is pay yourself first. And the idea of this is that first, you are going to allocate the money that you are going to invest for long term. And what this is going to allow you to do is you will have less money to spend and more money to invest. So at the end, in the long term, you will have way more money to play with, to spend, and to actually enjoy things that you love to do. So the idea is at the beginning of the month, let's say I'm earning $2,000. Okay, I'm going to first allocate $1,000 for investing, and then the rest is for actually living and spending, you know. So what this is going to allow you to do is really force you in a creative mindset. So like, okay, how much can I cut my expenses so that I can actually survive with this smaller amount of money? So this is called delayed gratification, and the idea is that in the long term you have way more money, you'll be way wealthier, and at the same time you'll be able to spend more in the things that you care about and less in all the rubbish that society makes us feel we need. You don't really need the new iPhone, let me tell you. That is just what Apple wants you to believe. Now the fifth step is create an emergency fund. And this is super important because you never know when your circumstances are changing. Maybe you lose your job, maybe you get a health problem, maybe, I don't know, you get a whatever. And you will maybe need some extra money for an accident or covering whatever circumstances come into your life. So it's really important that you always have a bit of a cushion so that you don't need to touch your long-term investments for these unforeseeable situations. So create an emergency fund. I normally think probably 6 to 8 months of all your expenses in a savings account. But remember, a good interest savings account is key to protect yourself from these kind of downturns and also to keep your long-term investments untouched. Because the key of investing is not freaking out in the moments where everyone is freaking out. Instead, you keep yourself invested, and in the long term you are gonna have way better results. So yes, investing is important, but having an emergency fund is key to survive the downturns or the surprises of life, really. Now finally, the sixth step is investing. Yes, what everyone was waiting for, the exciting part. But remember, the key is doing the steps in order so that you have a successful investing experience. Why? For example, if you got an emergency and you need to retire your investments, boom, you're gonna lose a bunch of money potentially. Or for example, if you didn't pay your debt first, probably paying your debt is going to consume all the returns of your investing, and you are just going deeper and deeper into your financial issues. So please, I cannot stress enough, just do these steps, but in the proper order. Okay, anyway, so investing. I personally invest mostly in ETFs. I have other smaller investments, but most of it goes to ETFs. And I'm going to explain in another series of videos my thinkings about investing, asset allocation, and blah 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 blah. All these like fancy things of investing, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss those episodes. But in general terms, what we want is to be inside the stock markets, be the owners of successful companies that over the long run are going to have tremendous growth, and at the same time they will provide us with an amazing interest compound situation where our money is working for us, and that's really what makes wealthier every time, because they have their money working for them. They are not spending all of it. They really put the money to work hard to make even more money. So I'm gonna have a full series of videos talking about this, but the basic idea at the moment is we need to start investing so that the interest start compounding and our money works for us. Finally, we go to the 7th step and the last of all, and is be consistent and automate as much as you can. And this is probably one of the most important steps of all, because if you only do this for a month, it's not really going to have a massive impact in your life. What you need to do is automate as much as you can so you have less friction to do the proper thing and you can stay the course through the course of your life. Because otherwise you will probably quit, like, oh, you know, doing this budget is boring, or oh, I don't want to invest this month, I'm gonna delay it a bit, and that's how you fall back into your old habits. So the key is stay consistent and reduce the amount of friction that you have to do the proper thing. So for example, what you can do is set up your account so that it automatically goes from your salary straight into the savings account, straight into the investment account, and like this it will reduce the friction for you. And if you automate most of your decisions, most of the actions, you'll be able to stay the course more easily. So yeah, and finally, this is going to eventually get you to more wealth, and at the same time enjoy more your life in the things that you really love to do. Like I was saying before, for me it's traveling. So for me, going around the world, knowing new places is my first priority. But of course I do other sacrifices to be able to enjoy these privileges and at the same time invest in my long-term wealth. So yes, this is gonna be basically the main idea of this channel. So if you like the ideas that I was talking about here before, you want to learn different money saving tips, different investment strategies, and of course I'm going to go deeper into the steps that I was just describing before. So make sure to subscribe if you like it. If you liked it, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, and also let me know down below in the comments if you have any ideas, any topics that you will want me to cover, and we can go through them together, we can learn together, and yes, I'll just see you in the next episode.